Hello my friends and welcome to this very special video, because in this video my friends we'll be testing all the cars that has participated in the off-road showcase challenge. This challenge was very simple: make the perfect and the prettiest off-road machine under, of course, a price limit which is $100,000 in 2019. This is the production year. So a lot of cars turned up for this challenge, more than 52 cars, but unfortunately some of them got disqualified because they were missing some fixtures, or they were a little bit too expensive, more than the limit, or because they were a little bit unrealistic, like for example 0 kilogram or 0 pounds of towing capacity. That's unrealistic. So yeah, unfortunately those cars got disqualified, so better luck next time. But in this video we'll be testing the cars that has passed all the rules, past those two rules, and they are as much beautiful and as much realistic as possible. So let's have fun exploring those cars, and remember, pick your favorite car after you watch this video. I know it's a little bit too long, but yeah, just have fun when you watch it. Pick your favorite one, the one that you liked so much, and go to the description below so you can vote on it. You will find the link to the voting with all the... Alright my friends, so when you open the link in the description below for the voting, you will get this window, this special window, as you can see. So what you need to do is, of course, scroll down, as you can see, and then you need to type your name. As you can see, it says enter your name, real name or your nickname, whatever. Press the arrow to expand the voting so you can get all the cars, as you can see, all of them in from the video. Watch the video, pick your favorite one, and of course press on it, write your name or your nickname, whatever. Leave a comment if you want to, select your vote and press send, and job done my friend, you are in the voting. And thank you so much, and now let's of course watch this video and enjoy all your crazy creations. Alright then, so let's start with the first car, which is of course the Alpine. This thing looks absolutely tremendous. It's a 3-door SUV, which is very unique. And this thing has, let's see, this thing has a 5.5 liter V10 engine, twin turbocharged, with 516 horsepower and 832 pound-feet of torque. This thing is a torque monster, and it has some nice horsepower to it. It has an automatic gearbox, I think 8-9 speed, something like this. This thing can tow 2,833 kilograms, and this thing can take 900 kilograms of load. It's very nice actually for an SUV, but the little issue with it is of course the mileage. This thing can only do 6 miles to the gallon. I'm not kidding, 6 US miles to the gallon. That's very thirsty. So the design of this thing looks actually tremendous. I like it. Some bad details on it, like the orange wipers. This is not a realistic touch, but the badges are like on the side. Look at this badge. Yeah, the rear, look at this beautiful tail hatch, or tailgate, 4x4 badge. We have a spare wheel, quad exhaust tips. We could look at those roof racks. The tires are a bit extra fat, which is not really realistic. Look at them; they are going beneath, or they're going through the fender, which is not a nice touch. But the front is looking very decent. Lots of vents, fog lights, indicators, everything, all the amazing touches. So if you like this car, you can go to the link in the description below so you can vote on it. If you like the Alpine, you will find the name of it inside the vote. So alright then, let's have a last look, and then let's move on with the next car. Alright, so the second car, it's called the Atlas. Yes, that's the name of it. This thing has a 10 liter V8 engine, flat plane, with running on naturally aspirated, well, a really massive engine, making 869 horsepower, with of course 802 pound-feet of torque. This thing can tow 2,717 kilograms, which is very awesome. And this thing can take a load of 2,241 kilograms. This thing looks absolutely basic. Look at it, it's a basic off-roader. Some people will look at it and say it's not really that pretty, but if you pay close attention, but unfortunately the lighting on this map is not really what you call perfect. We have front parking sensors, we have, as you can see, wipers. Here are the sensors, as you can see. We have wipers, wiper washers, everything. We have absolutely everything. We have a roof scoop, And of course we have those roof mounting points, which looks tremendous. The suspension is on this car is very awesome. This thing has a 6-speed sequential gearbox, which is a bit unique, to be honest, on an off-road vehicle, but it works very nicely. This thing is a monster on the dunes. It can reach speeds like up to 180 kilometers per hour on dunes, but of course you need to be careful because this thing can crash a bit easy if you are going too crazy with the speed. A very awesome creation and very enjoyable to drive as well. Looks very basic, nothing special, but it has all the badges, all the vents, all the wipers. Everything is awesome, with of course a rear spare wheel, and running very awesome. And I like this British looking dark green paint, which gives the car more patina, more amazing off-roady looks. Alright then, so let's move on with the next car. Third car that we have here, it's called the Bull Super Off-Road pickup. As you can see, this thing is a massive looking pickup truck, very, as you can see, long, huge in every single way, with its special front bumper, with all of its special LED headlights and vents. And I mean, this thing is just modern in every single way and huge in every other single way. Sensors, backup camera, everything. We have absolutely everything on this pickup truck to make it as modern and as cool as possible. So this thing, the Bull Super Off-Roader, this thing has a 6.2 liter V8 engine, twin turbocharged, 705 horsepower and 747 pound-feet of torque. This thing can tow 3,398 kilograms, which is, I mean, this is a huge amount of weight to tow. And of course, this thing can take 923 kilograms of load in its bed, which is, I mean, it's not really a huge bed, but putting a ton in it, that's actually a very nice amount of weight to haul around. This thing looks amazing, all of its amazing details. A couple of details that I really don't like the small fuel filler cap on the side. And let's see what else. Those door handles are a bit like 2002. Those side mirrors, yes, pickup trucks, they have these huge side mirrors, but they are a bit too old, but it's okay. They work with the car, they work with the shape of it. The tires, the rims, everything is looking perfect. Look at that beautiful engine inside. The chassis is pretty decent too. The differentials are working. The gearbox is of course an automatic gearbox for 4x4. I think gear limited slip differentials, I think, but it's very cool. Now let's move on with the next car. Alright then, so the third car that we have here, it's called the Churchill Whitehall or Whitewall. This thing, it's called, yes, Churchill Super Sport Whitehall, something like this. This thing has a 7 liter V10 engine, twin turbocharged, making 584 horsepower and 796 pound-feet of torque. This thing is just superb to drive. It's absolutely so much fun to drive on the dunes. It's very tough. The suspension works absolutely tremendous in every single way. I mean, you can just fly with it in the sky and then just drop on the dunes, and the suspension will just take the bump and carry on, no problem. The details on this car are very high. Look at that unique rear bumper with, of course, many parking sensors. Look at this Churchill Whitewall? Yes, I think Whitewall badge. Beautiful looking taillights. The side is very decent. The mirrors are, typical truck mirrors. The front is very modern and very cool. We have lots of vents and we have some LED lights, and of course the headlights are very modern and cool at the same time. We have a light bar on the roof which shakes on bumps. That's an automation or a BeamNG bug or something, but this thing is just absolutely fun to drive. All the amazing details, the badges, the wipers, everything is available. So don't forget, every car that you are watching on this video, you need to vote. Just vote for your favorite one in the comment section. Not in the comment section, in the description below there is a link. Press the link and you will find all the names of the cars that you will be watching here. So vote for your favorite one. This thing is just the money. I like it so much. It's very fun to drive. Look at this thing. You can just jump it sideways and the suspension will just, look this, it will cope, it will continue fighting without any single problem. Fun all the way. Alright then, let's move on with the next car. Alright then, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Cookie Monster. This thing, it looks absolutely unique in its own way. Like, look at those unique headlights, as you can see, the indicators, everything is unique about this car. The badge, the hood, look at the roof. We have a tiny spoiler or wing, whatever you want to call it. We have a chromey something looking rear diffuser, which is also a unique touch. A chromey bumper, which is also a unique touch. The taillights are chromed. Everything about this car is chromed, which is, I don't know if it's modern, if it's classic, but it looks unique. It looks very, very unique, and this thing drives very, very nicely. The suspension is coping very, very well. The engine is very, very torquey and very smooth, because the Cookie Monster has a 6-liter V12 engine, twin turbocharged of course, 752 horsepower and 740 pound-feet of torque. This thing can tow 2,366 kilograms, and this thing can take 1,484 kilograms of load in the back or whatever. This thing, it's not really what you call economical. It can do like 14 miles to get to the gallon, which is, yeah, it's not really that efficient, but it works nicely, and the suspension can cope very, very nicely. A couple of things that I really don't like about this car, which is the tires. I mean, this thing has very, very, very wide tires, and this thing has a badly tuned gearbox. Gearbox is killing all the torque and horsepower. Off-road vehicles need to have short gears so you can have all the torque all the time. This thing feels like longer gears. You have to wait and wait and wait, and suddenly you will get stuck on a single gear, because, well, on dunes you can't really go that quick, especially with this car. Look at the suspension, copes very, very nicely, no problems, no drama whatsoever. Alright then, vote for it if you like it, and now let's move on with the next car. Alright then, so the next car, it's called the Caralho, something like this. I'm not really a Spanish expert. I've never spoken Spanish, but this thing is actually very, very nice looking pickup truck. It looks very tough, and it drives very, very like a tough truck. I mean, the suspension is coping very, very nicely. The gear ratios are not bad. The engine is torquey and nicely tuned. The truck is looking very decent. I love the tail lights. They look very, very beautiful. The badge, the exhaust is very, very beautiful looking. Look at the front, not bad looking at all. So this thing, this car has a 6.4 liter inline 6 turbo, making 386 horsepower and 601 pound-feet of torque. So it's a torquey monster. It's not really about power, it's not really about speed, it's about, you know, torque. This thing can tow 1,918 kilograms, but this thing can have in the back 4,221 kilograms. Look at that beautiful airplane, crashed airplane over there. So 4 tons of cargo in the back. Can you imagine putting 4 tons of cargo in the back, and this thing can just drive off with it? It's not really a tow monster, but a hauling monster with lots of cargo in the back. Yes, this thing can take it all the way, all night, all day long, which is very, very brutal. Now the design end of this car, we have everything you want: the wipers, the badges, the vents, everything is available on this pickup truck. So if you like this pickup, you can also vote for it on that website in the description below. As you can see, this thing shakes a bit on bumps, but it's very, very decent, and it's fun to drive on the dunes. So let's move on with the next one then. Alright, so the next car that we have here is called the Pienaar in Zand. I think that's the name of it. Yes, that's the Pienaar. As you can see, this thing is just beautiful to look at, beautiful to drive, and absolutely amazing in every single way. Check out the angry looking front waiting to strike, and the suspension is just a masterpiece. I love the suspension on this thing. It's not so hard that you feel it's like a racing truck, and it's not so soft you feel like you are in a Rolls Royce. It's in between, and it's very very reliable. Look at this, look at this thing. This thing can jump all day all night long without causing any issues at all with the suspension. Nothing will break, nothing will get bented. This thing can drive, can jump all night all day long, which is a very nice thing to have in an off-road machine. The tires are very good. The engine, this thing can use a little bit more power because this thing has only a 3.2 liter V8 engine, twin turbocharged of course, 270 horsepower and 322 pound-feet of torque. It's not really high on horsepower, but it's a torquey beast. And look at that beautiful rear cover on the bed, which is a very nice thing. Everything about this car is just nicely made. The front, the rear, the side, even the roof is looking very cool looking. I like it so much. If this thing has like a 350 horsepower engine, 500 pound-feet of torque, yes, it's still a torquey engine, it will be much better. Look at those beautiful exhausts, absolutely tremendous in every single way. Good job, my friend, on creating a masterpiece in its looks and in its performance and its design. Look at it, just eating the dunes, no problems whatsoever. Alright then, if you like it, vote for it in the on the same website. And now let's move on with the next car. Alright then, so the next car that we have here is called the Goopa, the Gopa, something like this, Q8. This thing looks absolutely amazing. Look at it, it's very beautiful to look at, and it looks tough. It's not really what you call a weak car. It's tough, and it can cope very nicely on dunes or on mud. This thing is just absolutely amazing. This thing has a 6 liter V10 engine, twin turbocharged, with 357 horsepower and 606 pound-feet of torque, so it's a torquey monster. This thing can tow 1934 kilograms, which is not bad at all, and you can put 1492 kilograms of cargo in it. I think, you know, this is the load capacity, which is very nice as well. This thing can do 23.8 miles to the gallon, and the previous car, the former can do 22, which is very cool as well. So it's an efficient car. It's not really bad in its fuel economy. It's very torquey. It's very nice to drive. The suspension is surprisingly coping very nicely, because there was a moment that I jumped this thing very high, and I thought the suspension will collapse. But it turned out it's actually tough. It's not weak at all. Look at the brake discs. Front are huge, rear are tiny, so it's not bad at all. Look at those plastic bumpers, which they should be cheap to replace if you actually destroyed one. The side mirrors are chromed, which is a unique touch. The roof is very nice. We have like a rear spoiler. Everything is about this car is just beautifully made, beautifully balanced, and looks tremendous at the same way, doing all these crazy moves on dunes. Alright then, so if you like this thing, of course, vote for it in the website below, and let's move on with the next car. Alright then, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Hatchet Dory, I think L Series. This thing looks, I mean, serious. I mean, really serious. If you look at it, look at that beautiful tailgate, or you know, whatever they call it on pickups. The badges, the tail lights, everything is looking very tremendous. The rims are nicely looking on this thing, and the details like the vents, the roof. Look at those truck lights up on the windshield, which they are looking very tough. We have wipers, vents, everything. Look at the front, very modern, very beautiful looking. Parking sensors, front view camera, rear view camera. This thing is just modern in every single way, and we have a spare wheel inside the bed of the truck, which is not bad. I mean, it's a good place to put a spare wheel, but it will eat some of the cargo space in the bed. And I think the cover, because it's painted, if you put stuff on it, it will get scratched, which is not a nice thing to have. But I like those bars on top of on the sides of the rear bed. You know, if you want to tie a rope above your cargo to keep it safe. We have a lockable fuel filler cap, which is a nice touch. It's not really a modern touch, it's a classic touch, but it's a nice one. It's a nice move which looks very unique. This thing is just very tough. The Hachidori has a 3.3 liter inline 6 turbo, 345 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque. It's not really what you call a torquey or a horsepower beast, but it's not bad at all. This thing can tow 1,813 kilograms, and it can take 708 kilograms of cargo, which is not really what you call impressive, and it can do 24 miles to the gallon. So if you like this thing, vote for it, and let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright then, so the next truck that we have here, it's called the Haig, the H-E-I-B-A-O, the Haibo, something like this. This thing actually looks very cool and tough. Look at that front end. It's just screaming muscle, beer, and just beef steak, something like this. Very beefy looking pickup truck with, of course, look at that beautiful light bar on top. The suspension is very tough, the body is very tough, the chassis is very good, the engine is torquey. This thing handles amazingly well on dunes. You can just slide it, drift it, jump it, worry nothing about it. This thing is just tough in every single way. So this car, or this pickup, let's see, this thing has an 8.3 liter V10 engine, naturally aspirated, making 675 horsepower and 609 pound-feet of torque. This thing can tow 3,630 kilograms, which is like 3.6 tons of towing capacity. That's massive. And this thing can have in the back, or as a cargo capacity of 3,212 kilograms. That's massive. This thing can tow 3.6 tons and it can haul 3.2 tons. That's absolutely magnificent. This naturally aspirated engine, check it out. Check out that angle. So this naturally aspirated engine can make, with this heavy body on top of it, let's see, this thing can make 13.6 miles to the gallon, which is a thirsty engine, I have to admit, but I mean, this thing is just so much fun on dunes. I mean, you can just jump it, drift it, slide it, and throw dirt in the air, have a blast all day, all night long, as long as, of course, the tank is full of fuel. Alright, so if you like it, vote for it on that website in the description below. And now let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright, my friends, so the next car, it's called the IKON, the IKON. This thing is just looking very brutal. Look at it, it's just tough in every single way. It's a 3-door off-roader, as you can see, 2-door on the side and a rear hatch. It's unique in every single way. The tail lights are very unique. When they light up, of course, we have those roof mounting points, or roof racks, whatever you call them. The suspension is actually tough and very surprisingly grippy. I've never seen a grippy off-roader on dunes or on sand. Usually the grip comes on tarmac, but this thing is just super grippy. If you slide it a little bit, you feel the tires gripping so hard, which is very unique. The engine is a little bit too loud. Look at those beautiful tail lights lighting up in their own special way. The engine is actually very powerful and a little bit extra too loud, but I like it. It sounds very cool. This thing has a 9.5 liter V8 engine, twin turbocharged. That's a massive oversized engine, making 638 horsepower and 829 pound-feet of torque. I mean, to be honest with you, this much size of an engine, 9.5 liter, you can get those numbers on naturally aspirated engine, on running it naturally aspirated, but he decided to put turbochargers on it, maybe to make it more efficient, who knows. But it worked nicely. The engine sounds good and it looks good. The car looks very cool and drives very nicely. So the IKON can tow 833 as you can see kilograms and 3,441 kilograms of load capacity. As you have seen right now, the car was about to flip on its side because the tires suddenly decided to grip as I was mentioning before about the grip, but this car is actually surprisingly fun to drive on the dunes. So if you like it, vote for it. And now let's move on with the next car or next vehicle. Okay, so the next car is called the Kingster Phantom. This pickup truck, as you can see, looks very tough, very high, or as you can see the ride height is very high, which is looking very tough. The front end is very decent, very modern. As you can see, the badge, the logo, the license plate holder, everything is looking modern with this truck. The roof has some unique roof racks, whatever you want to call them. The rear is looking very cool. I like the Phantom badge, the crown, and of course those twin exhaust tips. It looks very cool. Look at those reversing lights down there, also a very nice touch. The bed is looking very normal, nothing to talk about. Side fuel filler cap, modern door handle, nothing special, but it looks very tough and very reliable. The suspension is surprisingly very nicely. This thing is just coping with the bumps on each single dune. The suspension is not giving me any hard time when I was taking it around corners and sliding it, which was very cool. The engine is actually very nice. This thing has a 4.7 liter inline 6 turbo, 557 horsepower, 493 pound-feet of torque. So it's a powerful engine. It's torquey, but this engine was designed to make more power, which is very cool. This thing is quick. It's not slow at all. This thing can tow 2,750 kilograms, and it can haul in its bed back there. Let's see, where is it? This thing can haul 1,464 kilograms, which is very nicely, and it can do 20 miles to the gallon, which is good. So it's a perfectly made truck. It looks very normal, it copes very nicely, drives very nicely, and it's efficient in its own special way. So if you like it, of course, vote for it in the voting website. And of course, let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright then, so the next car is called the Haig Dinara, something like this, Mountain Edition, which is a very unique name. This thing, the Haig Dinara, I think, this thing has a 7.6 liter V10 engine, twin turbocharged, of course. This thing is making 581 horsepower and 701 pound-feet of torque, with a towing capacity of 1,928 kilogram, and of course a load capacity of 1,474 kilograms. This thing is looking very decent, similar to a pickup or a ute that we have seen before. This thing is looking very tough. As you can see, we have a fat front bumper. I don't know. I really don't know if this is a painted hood or a carbon fiber hood. Looks painted, not carbon fiber. We have double antennas, as you can see, and look at that special spare wheel mounting point, which is on top of the bed cover for the rear bed. We have side exhausts, which is a very unique and sporty touch. The front end is looking very sporty, very angry. We have a hood scoop. The door handles are a bit classic, but not bad at all. The rear is a bit basic, nothing special, nothing to talk about. We have a couple of badges, beautiful looking taillights, and it's not bad. This thing is actually tough on dunes. It can jump, it can corner very nicely. The engine feels sporty and sounds very cool. The gearbox ratios are not bad at all. It's looks very cool, and it drives very nicely. So if you like this car, vote for it. And now let's move on with the next beast. Okay, so the next car is called the M1996 Atlas. This thing, as you can see, looks obviously like a military vehicle. Look at that. You have like a hatch on top, which I don't know, a gunner or you can mount a machine gun or something on the top. You have like a sonar or something, that sends signal to protect or to detect like landmines or something like this. And let's see, lots of side mirrors, as you can see. Some protective armor around the side. Look at those handles. I mean, vents, lots of like screws and something like this. Look at that. It says pull down D15. Look at that jump. Yes, actually jumping this thing too hard, you can actually lose some fixtures on the car. This is like a bug or something from BeamEngine.drive. When you jump it really high, stuff starts to disintegrate. But as a vehicle, as a military vehicle, this thing looks very tough. And this thing is very powerful because this is the M1996, has an 11.5 liters V16 twin turbo, making 1,601 horsepower, 2,055 pound-feet of torque. This thing can tow 2,370 kilograms, and it can take as a load. The load capacity is 6,942 kilograms. This thing can take heavy loads on top of it or in it or wherever. Nearly 7 tons. That's massive. This thing is very fast. Has manual gearbox. As you can see, it's very tough. The suspension is actually very surprisingly tough. It's actually drives very nicely, but you need to be careful because some bumps can make this thing to disintegrate. Parts starts to fall off of it. But very nice work, my friend. But unfortunately, I said, perfect off-roader. This is a military vehicle. It's not an off-roader for normal people to buy, because, well, I don't know if you are designing like a Humvee or a Hummer, but this is not even a Hummer. This is something. I mean, it even has like this thing have also a military green paint job on it, which is, I don't know. It's up to you. If you like it, just vote for it. If you like the looks of it, if you like the drivability of it, if you like the styling of it, also you can vote from the description below on that website. Alright then, so let's move on to the next car. Okay, so the next car is called the MARAC. This thing has a 3.5 liter inline-six turbo, 318 horsepower, 408 pound-feet of torque. If you look at this thing from this angle, for example, you think, oh, this thing looks like a 3-door Land Rover or no, Range Rover, I think. And true, I think the body was inspired from an racing game, but from the Range Rover or something like this. And this one looks very decent, very subtle from the side, nothing to talk about. Very beautiful modern front end, as you can see. The rims are not bad, side exhaust mounted, and we have a rear spare wheel. We have the Apollo badge because this thing called the MARAC Apollo. Let's see, 3.5 liter badge, parking sensor, rear view camera, wipers, everything you need in an SUV is available. The engine is surprisingly powerful, torquey. The suspension is working very nice. The car looks pretty normal, nothing special, no special vents, no special lines. I mean, for a normal car, yes, but for $100,000 car, no. No one will pay 100k for a car that looks like this. No special lines, something like this. But it's up to you, my friend. It's up to your vote. That if you like it, you can vote for it. If not, it's up to you, my friend. But this thing actually drives nicely, very nicely. Look at it. You can just slide it in at any speed, and it will just cope very nicely. The tires are surprisingly grippy. The brakes are working not bad. They will fade at some points, which is not really appropriate, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all, my friends. So this is the MARAC, and this thing can tow 2.2 tons. It can haul 1,469. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. So if you like it, vote for it. And now let's move on with the next car. Alright, so the next car, it's called the Pienaar. This thing is very cheap because I've written it on my book. Very cheap, that means it's very cheap. This thing has a 2.2 liter inline 4 running on naturally aspirated engine. Let's see, 136 horsepower. Wow, that's very low. 134 pound-feet of torque. 1,030 kilograms is the towing capacity, and 1,032 kilograms is the load capacity. That's not bad for 130 horsepower. like SUV or a tiny off-roader. A couple of things that I don't like about it is the super wide tires. I mean, the engine is very low on horsepower. You don't need that much tires, and the gear ratios are a bit too heavy for the engine. I mean, your foot is hard down 100% on the throttle, and the engine is just bogging down from third. You need to shift down to second. Uphill, you need to go to first. This thing is very, very low on horsepower, unfortunately. If this thing has like a turbo on it, it will bump the torque and bump the horsepower a little bit. It will help a lot, but running it like this on naturally aspirated, that's not really what you call fun to drive, unfortunately. But as a car, it's actually, or as a vehicle, actually not bad. It's coping very well. The suspension is good, actually. It's not bad at all. The design of this car, the looks of it is, Japanese or JDM boxy looking tiny off-roader, which is very, very cool. The color is cool. The attention to details is also not bad at all, but it doesn't feel modern. It feels like 2002 or 1999. That's how this thing feels when you drive it and look at it. But good effort, my friend, and or if you like it, more vote for it. And now let's move on with the next car. Alright, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Plastico. Yes, my friends, it's called the Plastico. This thing has a 4.8 liter twin turbocharged V8, 476 horsepower, 535 pound-feet of torque. This thing actually is very, very nice to drive. The suspension is good, the brakes are very good, the tires are perfectly chosen. The engine is not bad at all. The gearbox ratios are a bit too heavy, but the styling is what's important here, because look at it. This thing has a very, very unique design. The grille, the headlights, the front end in general is a bit unique, more unique than usual, but it's not bad at all when it comes to drivability. Now this Plastico can tow 1979 kilograms, and this thing, the load capacity of it is 1263, and it can do 21.9 miles to the gallon. That's actually not that bad. Well, what do you think about this styling? I would love to know your opinion in the comment section below. And if you like this SUV, you can vote on it. The link in the description below for the vote for this challenge, so you can vote and pick your favorite SUV or your favorite off-roader vehicle. Alright then, so let's move on with the next car or next vehicle. Alright then, so the next car that we have, or the next vehicle that we have here, it's called the R250. This thing has a 7 liter twin turbocharged V8 engine, making 529 horsepower and 639 pound-feet of torque. This thing can tow 3046 kilograms, and this thing can take loads up to 2412 kilograms, and it can do 14.4 miles to the gallon. Now forget about the miles to the gallon and all this nonsense. Look at it. This thing looks absolutely amazing and tough, and it looks similar to I don't know if it's like the new Chevrolet Tahoe or the new fleet of Silverado. I don't know, but it looks very, very decent, and I like it. It looks very cool. It's tough. The suspension is working very, very nicely. The engine and ratios, everything is very, very perfect with this pickup truck. It's very tough. You can jump it, you can slide it, you can have fun with it on dunes, and it's really, really awesome. So if you like this pickup truck, you can always vote for it on that voting website and have fun with it. And now let's move on with the next vehicle. Okay, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Rhian XM. This thing has a 6.5 liter V16 twin turbocharged engine, making 1000 horsepower and of course 1150 pound-feet of torque. What a monster indeed. This thing can tow 3902 kilograms and 1697, that's the load capacity. Well, the design of this car, this thing looks pretty much basic in every single way. The headlights, the taillights, the side, nothing what you call is pretty special or pretty rare. but it looks very nice with realistic touches on it, like the badges, the rear bumper. All these things are very nice to own on this car, which is absolutely magnificent. Now this thing can do, what is it, the Rhian. This thing can do 18.4 miles per gallon, which is really cool. It looks beefy, it looks powerful, the chassis is very good, the suspension is coping very nicely. The gearbox ratios need a little bit of attention, but as a car in general is actually very cool. Now let's move on to the next car, and if you like this one, don't forget to vote for it. Alright, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Roamer Evo. This thing has a 3.6 liter V6 turbo, 530 horsepower and 436 pound-feet of torque. This thing can tow 1,445, and this thing can take up to 1,375 kilograms of cargo, and it can do let's see, where is it? It can do 20, or no, not 20, this is 12. It can do 12.2 miles to the gallon, which is not really brilliant, but it's really good to drive. It feels very stable, grippy, good to look at, and well, drives very nicely. Look at the front end, how it looks. This is the sides, nothing special, only basic looks from the outside, but he pulled it off. It looks very decent, which is very cool. Let's see what else. This thing actually drives very fast. If you lay into it, it will shift very hard and it will drive fast, but you need to be careful because a tiny mistake can destroy it. Alright my friends, so if you enjoyed this car, vote for it, and then let's move on to the next creation. Alright then, so the next car that we have here, it's called the SWM. This thing has a 3 liter V6 turbo, making 432 horsepower and 349 pound-feet of torque. This thing looks absolutely very modern. Look at it, it looks very futuristic and cool at the same way. The front is just a very special touch. I mean, there is no big fat grill in the middle, only small vents down there to cool the engine, which is a very modern touch. The headlights are very modern. The side is just normal with modern door handles. We have like a panoramic roof, which is a very cool touch. The rear is just brilliant. I like it. Looks extremely realistic. Let's see what we have here. I mean, I'm not seeing any kind of like a rear view camera, but no, there is a rear camera. There is a rear view camera, which is cool. And yes, there are some parking sensor, which is very modern. So actually this car is pretty much perfect. This thing has all the modern technologies and all the modern gadgets. It has a very comfy and amazing and modern interior. Also automatic gearbox, very powerful and torquey engine, everything you want. So the SWM can tow 2,648 kilograms, but the load capacity, it's not really great, 686 kilograms, so not much cargo you can put in it. The suspension is a little bit too soft, but the towing capacity is very good. So yeah, that's pretty much for this car, and this thing can do 18.6 miles to the gallon, which is not bad at all, but not brilliant also. So if you like this thing, you can vote on it. And now let's move on with the next car. Alright, so the next car that we have, it's called the Valor Motors, the Pandora, that's the name of it. This thing has a 4.2 liter inline 5 turbo, making 407 horsepower and 459 pound-feet of torque. Pretty good numbers actually. The Valor motors can tow 1,843 kilograms, and this thing can take 1,572 kilograms of load on the rear bed. Let's see, this thing can do 22.1 miles to the gallon, which is, I mean, that's actually pretty good. This thing looks absolutely brilliant. I like the front end so much. Look at those modern headlights, the vents, the fog lights, everything is looking very decent. We have wipers, we have modern rear end, as you can see, parking sensors, I think, and no camera. I'm not seeing any rear view camera, but it looks very decent. I like it. I like the rims too, they look pretty cool on it, but the front end is just brilliant. I like it so much. Looks very cool. And look at that, the Pandora badge, And let's see, the purple color is a pretty special touch. I really don't think people will order it, but it looks very cool on it. I mean, it looks very not manly, but it looks cool, modern, yeah. So that's pretty much it for the Valor. Then this thing, it looks good, drives good, and the engine is actually brilliant. It has automatic gearbox, 4x4. It's pretty much fun to drive. The suspension is strong. It can cope very well with the jumps, as you can see. And for a moment I was about to flip it, as you can see. Look at that. Just turn right and it will get back on its feet. This thing has, I think, an aluminium, as you can see, chassis, because it's very white bright, but very cool. Good work, my friend. And now if you like it, vote for it, and let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Vampire Motors. I don't know what's vampire about this car, because I mean it looks tiny, you know, those small off-roaders. It's called the Yamasaki, which I mean says it all. Because it looks like a small compact Japanese off-roader, but surprise this thing has a 3-liter V8 engine, which is I mean pretty decent, but the horsepower and the torque, it's not really impressive, because this tiny V8 is pushing 162 horsepower and 193 pound-feet of torque. The numbers are not really brilliant, but this off-roader is light. It's pretty light actually, and it can drive nicely on dunes, which is really surprising. For a moment I thought, when I saw the horsepower number, I thought this thing wouldn't move, but apparently it's very light and it looks cool. I like the front grille. It looks very manly and off-roady. The plastic bumper with, of course, look at those closed vents included with, of course, the fog lights. All these amazing touches are making this compact off-roader looks very brilliant. The side mirrors are not for this car, I think. I mean, those side mirrors are for a pickup truck, but they work not bad at all. There's like a hood scoop, which is, I mean, very sporty. We have some roof racks, which is a very nice touch. Looks like a compact or a cheap off-roader, unfortunately, so I'm not really expecting lots of luxurious in it. I mean, I think this thing has like, I don't know, maybe a sporty interior or a basic interior or something like this, because I totally forgot what kind of interior this thing has. But I mean, you can just look at it from the first look, and of course learn what this thing has. But I'm really impressed with it. It's compact, it's tiny, and the engine sounds very good, and the gearbox is very cool. Works very nicely with the low horsepower engine. I like it. It's very compact, it's very cool, and good work, my friend, on creating a sporty compact off-roader. So if you like it, vote for it. And now let's move on with the next brilliant vehicle. Okay, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Barrage. The Barrage Traveler 4x4, that's the name of it. Looks actually brilliant, because it looks like a classic off-roader with modern touches around it, which is very cool. I like this kind of vehicles, you know, classic body but with modern touch-ups, like modern headlights, modern brakes, modern engine, modern everything except the classic brilliant body. So this thing has a 1.8-liter inline 4 engine, naturally aspirated, running with 225 horsepower and 52 pound-feet of torque. Oops, for a moment here, yes, the body actually shook itself on that jump, but with high speed you can't actually see that, but with slow-mo you can actually see that. Alright, so this thing actually is not that bad. This thing can make 19.6 miles to the gallon with, of course, 1,745 kilograms of tow capacity and 2,053 kilograms of load capacity. As you can see, we have reached in this map the flat grounds, which they act like tarmac. As you can see, you can drift on them like regular tarmac, and this thing actually, with its 4-cylinder engine, cope very nicely. You can drift it, you can slide it, which is absolutely brilliant. I enjoy driving this brilliant classic/modern off-roader, because it's a mix-up with all of its amazing details. Like, look at the rear badge, Traveler 4x4. There was brilliant looking tail lights, the badges, the spare wheel, the rear wiper, We have like a sunroof, hood scoop. We have very modern headlights, as you can see, fog lights. Everything is very decent with this off-roader. So if you like it, you can vote on it. And now let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright, so the next car that we have here is called the ZG, I think. It's called the Bushwalker, that's the name of it. This thing has a 7.9 liter inline 6 turbo, a very massive engine, making only 560 horsepower and 1,218 pound-feet of torque. The reason for this low horsepower, because this engine can only rev up to 4,000 RPM or even less. You know, the person who made this engine, he wants to make this engine to act like a diesel engine. You know, very low RPM and very high torque amount, which is not bad. I mean, the diesel engines are brilliant in pickup trucks, of course, because of their high torque output. But this is a petrol engine, but I like the effort. The effort is very brilliant. This thing can only do, unfortunately, 5.3 miles to the gallon. That's very thirsty. This thing can tow only 1,337 kilograms, which is not really what you call brilliant for the size of the pickup. And this thing can take 1,994 kilograms of load capacity, which is not bad actually. The looks of this thing, it actually looks very normal, nothing special, like no parking sensors, no rear view camera. The side is just normal pickup truck, nothing special. The front, it's good actually. I like the front. The grille is a nice touch. The badge, it's also a nice touch, not bad. The headlights are a bit 1990s, but it looks cool. It looks tough, manly, and the engine, it sounds good. And it's very torquey, but as you can see, yeah, it's not really what you call brilliant. So if you like this thing, if you like this pickup with this vehicle, of course you can vote on it. And now let's move on with the next vehicle. Okay, so the next car is called the Pronoia Speedwagon, that's the name of it. Unfortunately, I tried many times to load this thing. I've downloaded the .car file many times, and no car actually came with missing fixtures. I have all the mods from the Steam Workshop, and unfortunately this one came without headlights, unfortunately, but everything else is just looking very normal with it. So this Pronoia Speedwagon, although it's not really a wagon, it's a pickup, but yeah, that's the name of it, has a 7.9 liter V8 turbo, making 681 horsepower, 756 pound-feet of torque. This thing can tow, which is absolutely awesome, 4,300 kilograms, I mean 4.3 tons of towing capacity, and this thing can take 3.9 tons of load in the back. I mean, as you can see, this thing has a massive rear bed, and it can tow it can take loads of 3.9 tons. That's very massive. But the fuel economy, it's not really brilliant. It's 11.8 miles to the gallon, which is not really brilliant at all. This thing looks like a pretty normal pickup truck, you know, bulky, massive, manly, as you can see, long bed. Nothing special. I mean, as you can see, not square, what do you call these? You know, regular boring pickup truck rear tail lights. The same goes for the front. Nothing special. There's a V8 badge in the middle. Nothing special. Looks very boxy, very 1990s or, you know, 2001, 2002 model. Not really modern. If you have this in a dealership, no one will believe this is a 2019 pickup truck, unfortunately. But there are some chromed parking sensors, which is, I don't know, a bit I know, weird. And there's no handle to open the rear tailgate, so I really don't know what to say. But this thing is very cool on the dunes. Very tough, very quick, which is surprising, and looks normal again, but drives very nicely. So if you like it, you can vote for it. This is the Pronoia, and now let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Rambler Cross Turbo. That's the name of it. And this thing has a 3.7 liter V6 turbo, making 414 horsepower and 421 pound-feet of torque with, and this is surprising, 33.2 miles to the gallon. So this is pretty efficient and economical. This thing can tow 2,294 kilograms, and unfortunately the load capacity, it's not really brilliant. It's only 501 kilograms, but it's very efficient, and this thing can tow nearly 2.3 tons, which is very cool. Now the design of this SUV, I like the rear end looking very brilliant and modern at the same time. The side is very cool. I like the lines. The lines are a very amazing touch. Look at that badge back there after the line, looks very brilliant. The roof, well, there are some roof racks or roof mounting points, which is not bad. The wipers are mounted in a unique way. Let's see, the front, as you can see, there's like a missing front grille, which is a bug in BeamEdge.drive. I tried loading this car twice and the grille is keep disappearing, which is not really brilliant, but it looks very brilliant and very cool and modern at the same time, front, side and rear. The driving experience of this SUV is actually very good. This thing can cope very nicely, and this thing can reach high speeds on the dunes, like up to 150 kilometers per hour, which is very cool. It's like nearly 80 miles per hour, which is, that's actually very decent. Of course, when you're talking about dune driving, right now, as you can see, at this speed, this thing was doing 147 kilometers per hour at this moment, which is very quick. So if you like this SUV, you can also vote for it. It's called the Rambler Cross. And now let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Sinai Merit. I don't know, it sounds like a Chinese made car. And as you can see, we have, I don't know if this is a Japanese or Chinese license plate, but it looks cool. I like it because this thing comes from the factory with a light bar on top. As you can see, ventilated hood and modern beautiful headlights. Look at the Sinai badge. As you can see, everything is functional, which is absolutely brilliant and so bright that I can't see anything. The front end, I like this bit at the front, the silver one. It's like a protective layer on the front bumper, which is very cool. The suspension is actually very decent, copes very well with the bumps and jumps. For a moment, yes, I was about to flip it, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. The brakes are good. The engine is very torquey because this thing, the Sinai Merit, has a 3.8 liter flat plane V8 engine, natural aspirated. No, this is not natural aspirated. No, I forgot. This is turbocharged, making 370 horsepower and 370 pound-feet of torque, which is absolutely brilliant. I like the matching numbers. This thing can do 20.7 miles to the gallon, which is not bad at all. And this thing can tow 1,513 kilograms, which is not bad, and the load capacity of 889 kilograms, which is also not bad at all. So the design, as you can see, I like the front end with, of course, parking sensors and everything, and a front camera, which is absolutely brilliant. The rear has the same nice idea, which is parking sensors, rear view camera, and look at those indicators and reverse light on the bumper, which is a very nice touch. The badges, like look at this. This is the Merit, as you can see, Chinese logo, which is absolutely cool. I think, am I right? It looks like a Chinese-made SUV, but it's cool. I've seen some modern Chinese ones these days in real life, and they are brilliant. Unlike when they first came out, they were rubbish, but now actually the Chinese are producing very nice vehicles. Yeah. So if you like this SUV, you can also vote for it, the Sinai Merit. And now let's move on with the next vehicle. Okay, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Armor and Veal. Yes, that's the name of it. This thing has a 4.2 liter inline-six turbo, making 605 horsepower and 532 pound-feet of torque. This thing can tow 2,549 kilograms, which is very brilliant, and this thing can take of loads 374, which is not really brilliant, but It's not bad. This thing can do 15 miles to the gallon, and it looks brilliant because look at it. It's a classic body with modern touch-ups around it, like modern headlights, taillights, modern suspension, modern engine, gearbox. Everything is modern except the brilliant looking classic body, which I truly love with this one. This thing drives very nicely. You have a rear badge, we have the rear camera, as you can see, and of course we have the rear handle to open the rear door, the fuel filler cap. Everything is looking very decent. The front is just brilliant in every single way. Look at that, the tow hitch, when you want to hitch your car to tow it or something. And the headlights are very brilliant and modern. This thing is very quick on sand. This thing can reach like up to 150 kilometers per hour, and even more if there are no bumps and jumps, which is very awesome. I enjoy driving this thing very hard and very nice. As you can see, jumps and just flying on dunes, which is really awesome. The suspension is very good. The gearbox is just brilliant in every way. Alright then, so if you like this SUV, vote on it, and of course let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Balrog. Yes, that's the name of it. This thing can do 13.1 miles to the gallon, which is not really brilliant, but it looks cool actually. It looks awesome with many vents and many other special bits. As you can see, jumping it is a lot of fun, but in slow motion you will see the body shakes, which is not really brilliant in real life, but yeah, in slow-mo it looks like that. So this Balrog has a 5.3 liter inline 6 turbo, 595 horsepower, 704 pound-feet of torque. That's a massive amount of torque. This thing can tow 3,187 kilograms, which is really brilliant. And this thing can have in the rear bed, as you can see, 1,806 kilograms, which is 1.8 tons. That's actually very decent. So it's a pretty brilliant truck. I like it because it's really fun to drive it on dunes. It's fast too. You need to be really careful with it because this thing can reach very high speeds. Well, the design of it, some nice detailed, as you can see, front end, hood scoop, everything is looking very brilliant with it. Not many modern touch-ups, like no parking sensors, as you can see, no rear view camera. So it's not really 100% modern, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's a good off-roader, but it's not really a modern off-roader. As you can see, the body shakes a little bit because so many jumps and bumps, and yeah, the body it's like a jelly bean, unfortunately. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this car. Now if you enjoyed, of course you can vote for it, which is of course the Balrog. Now let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright then, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Hawker, something like this, Hawker. This thing has a 6 liter inline 6 turbo, 590 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. That's a very massive and torquey engine. This thing can tow 1,826 kilograms, which is not bad, and this thing can take 2,584 kilograms of load, of cargo load. Although it's an SUV, I mean, now where are you going to put all this load? But it's alright, it's not bad at all. This thing can do 18.2 miles to the gallon, which is not bad at all. It's really fast, it's really good, but a little tiny issue with this thing is its own gearbox, because uphill, when you select drive or even sport mode, it will just shift up, shift down, shift up, shift down, and because of the RPM, when you put your foot hard down, to shift down and then shift up and so on, endless loop. That's why I didn't continue going uphill. I just turned left just to make the gearbox to decide, for the final time, what kind of gear to stay on. But this thing is actually brilliant. You can slide it all day, all night long. As you can see, it's a brilliant fun car on dunes, which is absolutely brilliant. The design of this SUV, as you can see, I like the rear end very much. Looks very luxurious and modern at the same time. The side is not bad, but those fenders, those studded fenders, Yeah, they look a little bit, you know, garage made, not you know, mass produced, but not bad. People actually like these kind of mods, you know, from the factory on their cars. Another thing, which is the indicators, they are in the middle, which is, I don't know, something a little bit weird. No, not bad, but also unique, very unique. The front grille is very looking cool. The hood is just normal hood, nothing special to talk about. So it's a brilliant car. It drives very, very nicely. You know, everywhere except up hills, unfortunately, but yeah, it looks very cool, drives very nicely, and if you like it, of course, you can vote on it. And of course, let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright, so the next car that we have here, it's called the MyZ, the MYZ, then double E, then D. I don't know, a very, very weird name, but this thing looks absolutely brilliant in every way. I don't know, I just really, really, really like this thing. I mean, look at it. The attention to details. The front end is just brilliant looking front end. And look, we have a hood ornament, which is a very, very luxurious touch, which I really, really like. The headlights are very bright and very beautiful to look at when they are on. The rear, or the tailgates, or the tail lights, unfortunately, you know, the tail lights, yeah, these tail lights are just brilliant. Look at the indicators in the middle, which is very brilliant, and the brakes will just, you know, light everything, which looks absolutely magnificent. I like the exhaust. They look very, very modern and cool at the same time. We have rear reflectors, the side is just brilliant, and we have a panoramic roof, which is a very, very modern and cool touch. I don't know, I just like this thing. It's called the MyZ Vizum. I don't know what this thing called, but it's just brilliant. I like it so much. So this thing then has a 6.2 liter V8 turbo, which is a proper size for a V8. I like 6.2, 5 liter, 4.6. I like these sizes so much. This thing is pushing 735 horsepower and 707 pound-feet of torque. That's brilliant. This thing can tow 3,659 kilograms. That's brilliant for an SUV. And of course the load capacity, which is also surprising, 2,205 kilograms. So this thing can tow 3.6 tons, and this thing can take 2.2 tons of cargo, which is brilliant in every single way. It's sporty, it's comfortable, it's amazing to drive. You can slide it, although it's a big bus, as you can see, a very, very long SUV. But it's brilliant. I like it so much. I hope that you like it too. So if you like it, vote for it on the voting website in the description below. And now let's move on with the next vehicle. Alright, so the next car that we have here, it's called the Velox AVM, a person or a car name that we have heard in the past so many times, and he won many, many challenges. As you can see, it's very obvious why he won many challenges so far. So the Velox AVM Rattlesnake, that's the name of this pickup. As you can see, the rattlesnake badge is back there, which is a very brilliant touch. As you can see, it looks very, very tough and manly in its studded you know, fenders. Like, look at this ventilated hood, and I don't know, these like, yeah, these are like truck lights, which is a very, very cool touch. The front end, as you can see, the suspension is just coping with the bumps and jumps very, very nicely. This thing is very, very fast on the dunes. I've reached like 181 kilometers per hour at some point, which was very, very, I mean, frightening, and of course cool at the same time. So Velox AVM Rattlesnake has a 6.5 liter V8 engine, of course running it non-naturally aspirated, making 600 horsepower and 467 pound-feet of torque. So it's not a torquey engine, it's more of a powerhouse actually. This thing can tow 3,162 kilograms and 948 you know, kilograms on load capacity, which is not really brilliant for taking heavy loads back there. You know, you can put a ton back there, which is not bad, but the towing capacity or the towing capabilities of this truck is just cool in every way. I like it. I enjoy driving it so much. I mean, even when I you know, finished recording this bit, I was just continue driving it and testing it on extra high dunes and try to flip it, which was a little bit difficult. This car is actually I like the suspension tune because you can't really flip it that easy. You can try hard to flip it, but it's just coping very nicely. So this truck, the Velox AVM, can get 19.2 miles to the gallon, which is also a brilliant thing. It's not super brilliant, but for a heavy pickup truck, it's not bad at all. So if you like the Velox AVM truck, you can also vote for it in the voting website in the description below. And now let's move on to the next vehicle. Alright, so the car that we have right now, it's called the LCOLOR Xenon. Yes, that's the name of it, the LCOLOR Xenon. This thing has a 1.5 liter inline 4 turbo, making 203 horsepower and 183 pound-feet of torque. So this thing is not really a powerhouse or even a torque house. But it's not bad. This thing drives very nicely. The suspension can cope with the bumps very good. The body is actually not bad looking. We have parking sensor, a spare wheel, badges back there. We have also, you look at those beautiful wipers. I like the range of them. Very realistic. Of course, we have window washers. The front is just modern and cool looking. Looks like a VW maybe, or a Nissan, I think, but very close to a VW. Not bad. The tires are coping very nicely. It's somehow sporty, sounds good. The gearbox is coping very nicely, which is of course an automatic gearbox. Very good. I'm really impressed. This thing can tow 1,568 kilograms, which is very cool. And of course, this thing can take 1,066 kilograms of load capacity, which is also very brilliant. And it can do 27.1 miles to the gallon, which is also good. I mean, it's a 4-cylinder turbo, so I mean, automatically this thing should have some decent fuel mileage. I enjoyed driving it so much, actually, to be honest with you. I know it's not really what you call a powerhouse or even a sporty car. No, not at all. But on dunes, this thing is brilliant. It's peppy and tiny and cute and just you know, going all over the dunes without any single problem, which is absolutely magnificent. Look at it. It's just beautiful in every single way. I like it. It's so tiny and cute, and this 4-cylinder turbo is just coping very nicely with the gearbox settings. Good work, my friend. Really good work on creating this tiny beast, which is really awesome. Alright then, so let's move on then with the final car. Saving the best for the last, because this is the only car in this challenge or in this showcase which is a close replica of a real car in real life, which is absolutely awesome and magnificent at the same time. So this guy that he designed this car, because I asked in the rules video, I asked for if you can make a replica engine of a real, a replicated engine of a real production engine, that would be more awesome in the challenge. But this guy took it to the next level. He made the Ford EcoBoost V6 engine, the 450 horsepower version of it, and then he decided to make a replica of the car around it, which is absolutely brilliant. Look at it. This thing is just mind-blowing in every single way. The headlights, the grille, the side is just very close to the real one. Even the rear, look at the rear. Absolutely brilliant. So this is, and he called it like this, this is the Ford F-150 Raptor, that's what he called it. EcoBoost V6 engine, 450 horsepower, 510 pound-feet of torque. This thing can tow 3,135 kilograms, which is awesome. And of course, this thing can take 1,880 kilograms of load capacity back there, which is very awesome. But the fuel efficiency, it's not really what you call realistic to the real one. This thing can do only 14.2 miles to the gallon, which is not really what you call brilliant. As you can see, I made a huge jump with this thing and it coped very nicely with it. Let's see, and what else? This thing is actually brilliant to drive because you can do donuts with it, you can drift it, you can just slide it anywhere you want, and it will do it without questioning anything. Really awesome, and sounds very good. And this thing also has the new Ford 9-speed automatic gearbox. which is cool. Actually, it's not that bad. Usually I hate automatic gearboxes in automation game because they are rubbish in drift modes or even in racing. It's just rubbish. It shifts very badly and it's not brilliant at all. But in this one, on dunes with the 9 speed, and I think I'm not sure if he replicated the original, you know, ratios of that gearbox or not, but it works brilliantly with this engine. As you can see, the body is shaking because, well, yeah, this is beam.drive. But anyway, thanks my friend. This is a brilliant car. Look at that. For a moment as I was about to flip it, but then wow, brilliant. I enjoyed driving this thing so much, my friend. So thank you so much, my friend, for creating this amazing replica. I enjoyed my time driving it so much. Thank you so much for creating it. And now let's move on to the final bit of the video. Friends, thank you so much for watching this amazing video. I know it's been a long video, you know, watching all these cars, but it was so much fun for me to test all your amazing creations in this showcase. So my friends, the winner of this showcase will win this car, the Dragon Wagon, as you can see, which is a supercharged monster all-wheel drive dune monster, which it will fly and jump without any problem using its own supercharged V8 monster. So my friends, to pick a winner, don't forget to vote for your favorite car that you have seen, for your favorite STV that you have seen. To vote for your favorite one, the link in the description below for the voting website, because YouTube won't allow more than 5 voting options. That's why I had to choose you know, an external website so I can put all the names of these 30 plus cars that you have just seen in this video. So go to the description below, press the voting link, and of course go and choose your favorite car, your favorite car that you have seen in this video, and the winner of the voting, of course, with the highest vote will of course win this car and win the 2019 Off-Road Showcase Challenge. So thank you so much guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and of course don't forget to hit that thumbs up, get subscribed, share the video if you want to share it, and of course if you like my videos and if you want to support the channel, you know, and support the next challenge and giving me more motivation to do much more, the link in the description below also for my Patreon page, or you can just press it here, my Patreon page link, so you can download special cars and of course support the channel. And by doing that you will get my biggest thanks, and you will get of course a special thank you note on the next video. So thank you so much guys for watching, and of course I will be seeing you very soon with more amazing videos and more challenges. And of course goodbye for now my friends, and have a happy weekend and happy Saturday or whatever time you're watching this video, and goodbye for now my friends.